Hello and welcome to the Swine Disease Reporting System. This is the report number 81. My name is Guilherme here at the SDRS studio.
Hello, my name is Giovanni Travis at the SDRS.
Hello, Daniel Linhares, also with the SDRS team.
And today we're going to cover the findings of the month of October of 2024 in the report 81. But before that, we are pleased to have here Dr. Lisa Becton join the SDRS podcast today. Dr. Becton received her DVM degree from North Carolina State University. Then she received her master's degree in food safety from Michigan State University and public health certificate in the field epidemiology from the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. And also, Dr. Becton completed the Swine Executive Veterinary Program and Swine Health Management at the University of Illinois, Champaign-Urbana. She's a diplomate of the American College of Veterinary Preventive Medicine, and recently, Dr. Becton served as National Pork Board Director of Swine Health. And currently, she's the Associate Director of the Swine Health Information Center. In today's episode, Dr. Becton will discuss the Winter Preparedness Call, a call from the SDRS with the advisory board to prepare themselves for the winter that is coming here. And then after that, we're going to discuss all the questions that they have and all the findings that we find in this call specifically. So welcome to the SDRS podcast, Dr. Becton.
Thank you. I really appreciate this opportunity to learn from other practitioners what's going on out in the industry and just be a part of this really exciting program that has its finger on the pulse, at least, of the swine health for the U.S. So thank you for the invitation.
Thank you, Dr. Becton, for coming and joining us in the podcast. Also, thank you very much for the Swine Health Information Center support for the SDRS. That is a key support for keeping the program running. So, Guilherme, before we start a thorough discussion with Dr. Becton, can you update us what is the find from the SDRS to the month of October?
Yes, sure, Giovanni. Let's start with PRRS virus. That is our first pathogen that we have in the report. And the positivity is starting to spiking up for PRRS virus, mainly in the winter market category, but we also have positivity increasing in the sow farms. And just for you to have an idea, in the winter market, we are already achieving 42% of positive submissions for this age category. And specifically in talking about the lineages, the one that are more predominant detected right now in the field are the L1C.5 and the L1A. They are being the most detected in the US right now in this month. And then when we go to a state level monitoring, some specific states are already having number of post submissions above the expected compared with the historical baseline. For example, Iowa, Indiana, Oklahoma, and also South Dakota.
And Dr. Becton, it's that time of the year where seasonally, right, the disease starts to spike up, PRRS included, Michael included, PD, and others. So in response to that, the SDRS team puts together this winter preparedness call where we get the SDRS advisors together just to talk about what's going on and what can we do to kind of mitigate that known seasonal spikes. And of course, you were part of that group. Would you mind summarizing the key findings here for the audience?
Sure. I think just like Guilherme mentioned, looking at the different lineages, I think it's pretty interesting to note definitely differences regionally for what lineages are being seen. And I think that's a big value of the SDRS because not only can you see the lineages, but you can visualize across different states. And so, for example, North Carolina really isn't seeing the L1C.5, but that is being seen in other areas, especially in the Midwest. And so I think the advisory group admitted that is important because as we manage and mitigate different health challenges or where you're shipping pigs, it gives people the opportunity to decide, do you vaccinate? Do you take other interventions? So that's a really big part. The other thing the group discussed was looking at, obviously we're going to see expected increases in PRRS going into winter. But it was interesting to note that as people are seeing more respiratory cases overall, that may be also driving some of the increases in viral detection because people are seeing, whether it's mycoplasma influenza or PRRS or even just doing workup. And so that may reflect endemic diseases, but also lateral infections, especially this time of year. And now we also are getting into pumping season and what are the increased risks associated with that. So very good information just to help us be better prepared and manage herd health overall.
Thank you, Dr. Becton, for bringing that up and all those differences that we have regional for PRRS virus are real are out there, and we can monitor that with that TRS. So really the advisor was pleased by that. Guilherme, what about endemic coronavirus? What was the discussion there?
Yeah, Giovanni, for entire coronavirus, it still remains low positivity for Delta coronavirus and also PED. But however, when we look at the regional level, we start to see some differences. Not like compared with the historical baseline, we're not having anything above the expected, but it's already starting to spike up in Iowa, Missouri, and Oklahoma. They're already having more positive cases for PED. So it's starting, so it's coming.
Well, that's a good comment there. We had during the summer the lower detection of PED since 2014. And that was a subject that was addressed in this winter preparedness call by the advisory group. So Dr. Becton, what are the window opportunities that the advisory group see there, and how could we move the needle towards a PED elimination? And what doors have for SHIC supporting that?
Right. You know, I think it's a really important thing to note because year over year we have had decreases. And I think that has been what sparked a lot of the discussion with PED elimination, not just for PED, but porcine Delta coronavirus. And so I think, you know, we have a way to visualize it, not only by state, but by region, and also where samples are coming from. Is it in the wean to finish or sow groups? But then also trying to understand and assess, are some of these samples environmental? Because that's always a question, is how do we gauge the level of virus, not only on our farms, but in other areas, such as, you know, what are the risks to manure pumping? What are the risks within our truck washes? Are they seeded with virus, or even the plants? And so with that low amount in case positivity, I think that really gives us a good leg up looking at elimination, because if there's low virus around in the environment and we are able to detect it and confine it potentially to an area, that all is really going to aid in the discussion. And so we've had a lot of other things going on. The recent U.S. Animal Health Association meeting had several resolutions for PED, one supporting U.S. SHIP and its focus on PED elimination. So that's another very good thing, again, to help coordinate a lot of the current programs in the U.S. But also another resolution was one to help the development of an effective PED vaccine, because that could also lend itself to helping for elimination. And so I think people are really excited about this opportunity and really going to be focusing in on what other steps and things can we do that people are already doing for SHIP and can really lead overall to a great effort to eliminate these viruses.
Great to see the industry and the stakeholders coming together for that goal, right?
Exactly.
Exciting developments coming to there on PED. PED, we are discussing elimination there, but how about Mycoplasma pneumoniae, Guilherme? Any updates on that one?
Oh yeah, like for Mycoplasma specifically, Giovanni, in the win to market category, we are having a high percentage of positive submission, over 30% of positive submission going in this specific pathogen. But however, in the adult sow farm, we still remain with low positivity, which is a good sign like last month. And I would like to invite our audience, because in this specific report, we have a bonus page with some Mycoplasma trends for positivity over the years. And this bonus page is showing more evidence that the industry is becoming more successful in eliminate this pathogen. We are seeing low positivity in the sow farms. We are seeing also more surveillance going on from the perspective of testing. And also when we go to the confirmed tissue diagnosis, we also see less cases analyzed by the diagnostician with a small number of positive cases there as well.
So from the lab side, we see, long story short, year after year, Mycoplasma activity in sow farms going down, but still high in grow finish. What did, going back to the advisory group, Dr. Becton, what do they say?
You know, I think the discussion really centered around some of the successes with elimination, or at least reduction plans on the sow farm. And so as we see the lower case positivity, even though we're seeing high or elevated case positivity in the wean to finish, I think that the group thought that may indicate more surveillance and testing on downstream animals, but also trying to do confirmatory testing when they're doing potential gilt exposures as part of the elimination plan. So essentially trying to not have that negative component as they're trying to work the virus or the bacteria out. And so that's a lot of it. I think also, you know, even with PRRS, it was also discussed that there's a lot of co-infections potentially being investigated. So again, looking at respiratory diseases and trying to look at what's going on. Is it PRRS? Is it influenza? Is it mycoplasma? And so that may also indicate an increased submission rate, at least in the wean to harvest groups. The other really interesting discussion was, again, having the possibility of looking at a more comprehensive elimination program. And I think that's also, again, with the visualization of the reporting and the case positivity, really is helpful to say, are we at a point that where we can encompass and take on a more comprehensive elimination program in the US swine herd? And so I think people were really encouraged about that. And I think that's going to be something, under even more discussion as the months to come.
So it's still great momentum towards mycoplasma elimination from some systems with some thought process. Well, hey, why not the national level, right?
Exactly, because if you can clean up the sow herds and then roll that through the grow finish sites, I think everybody benefits, and then overall incidence of disease reduces and your production increases. So I think there's going to be a big focus really looking at that to come. And
different than PRRS, I don't think there is much evidence of lateral introduction of mycoplasma in the finishing sites, right? I mean, there may be some cases, but that's not very common.
Sure. And the good thing is, as we continue to evolve and look at different diagnostic techniques to detect mycoplasma and confirm exposure, I think that's also going to be a big benefit to just the ever-evolving diagnostics and being able to do that a little bit quicker than we have maybe in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Exciting times coming. Lots of elimination discussion going on, and looks like we have a moment for those things. Guilherme, how about confirmed tissue disease diagnosis? Any update on those?
Yeah, Giovanni, we have some updates, and as Dr. Becton mentioned, the advisor was talking about some co-infections occurring this period, and that's what's going on right now. At the beginning of October, we had some alarms for increased number of influenza A virus, PRRS, and also Pasteurella in terms of confirmed tissue diagnosis. And just a reminder for the audience, these are the cases, the tissue cases submitted at the ISU VDL, that the diagnosticians take a look on the microscopic lesions, also the clinical history, and then they assign a diagnosis. So this is a confirmed diagnosis in a tissue case.
So that means respiratory cases are in the rise right now.
Correct.
On the disease diagnosis, not only on the PCR that we have seen across the videos. Dr. Becton, what are your final words for the SDRS audience, and what's your message for the veterinarians that are listening us today?
Sure. Wintertime and fall is always, it comes about, I think, with a little bit of mixed emotion, because you're coming off of summer. Typically, we see less health challenges in the summer, not always, but most of the time. And so you always know going into fall and then winter that unfortunately we'll see a lot of rise in some of our common pathogens. And so that always brings a little bit of stress and hesitation. However, it is interesting to note that year-over-year trends, as we see in SDRS, we know it's coming. And so I think the big thing is really, what can we do to prepare and stay vigilant for what diseases are out there? And so I look at this as it's really important to continue to watch the trends, both on the case positivities, but regionality and even age or production phase, because that can inform even further decision making. Do you pump right away? Do you wait on ages? Am I sending pigs into a challenged area or state? And so do I need to take other steps as far as immunizations to prevent infections coming into pigs? And so all of these things play a role. But again, having tools to be able to visualize this is really, really important and exciting, because I remember back many years ago, we did not have these type of tools, and it was harder to really assess what was going on, not necessarily within our company, but in other regions and areas. And so I think staying in touch with SDRS and looking at these different reports is really going to be helpful, as well as some of the other information on, what are environmental samples looking like? How do we handle manure pumping? And just a lot of other really good and useful information.
So that's it, guys, for today. That's the final part of the SDRS podcast. I would like to say a final thanks to Dr. Becton for joining us today, and see you guys next month with the report of November.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.